Hello again. The other day, I posted a video on China called China, the Video. And in that, I pointed out that China has 1,300,000,000 people and the US has 300 million people, which means if China creates 300 million creative, innovative, high-tech entrepreneurs, they have 1 billion people to do the work. I pointed out if we create 300 million creative, innovative, high-tech entrepreneurs, we have no one to do the work, and said we should make some friends. Subsequent to that, a LinkedIn colleague of mine from Nigeria sent me a tweet and asked the question, am I referring to immigration? And yes, that's part of it. Or the other part is partnering with people in either emerging nations or low-income nations, depending on how you choose to frame it. He also sent me a link to a Financial Times article that pointed out that sovereign investment funds are moving out of oil into other areas, predicated on the assumption, this is my take of the article, that in 70 years we're going to run out of oil. And of course, assuming that, there will be a shift to natural gas. I pointed out, of course, that no matter what they invest in, it won't do them any good without energy. And of course, natural gas is one of the options. In a PowerPoint presentation that I put up a few years ago, Oil, the Real Outlook, I suggested that the oil industry start to diversify its portfolio into other areas of energy, moving from, let's say, um, natural gas, solar power, wind power, other areas. This is just a natural flow of the business community, so one area slackens, another one will be able to pick up the slack. And I also pointed out oil strategy. Why would the oil industry pump more and more oil when there's a declining global economy and prices are falling? Well, this is to drive the prices down and to put their competitors at a major disadvantage. And we already saw that that happened. Now, moving right along, to worry about running out of oil in 70 years, even if it were true, negates the possibility of technology. People refuse to acknowledge technology, and in 70 years, a lot of technology is going to happen. At which point, I'd like to share three of the quotations of Slim Fairview. One, you can't stop the arrival of history. You can only delay it. History is coming. Two, you can't stop the arrival of solar. You can only delay it. Solar is coming. And three, you can't stop the arrival of technology. You can only delay it. Technology is coming. Now, in the area of emerging nations or low-income nations, China would appear to be embarking on what used to be called checkbook diplomacy. But it's a little more complicated than that. Because as emerging economies emerge, people are looking, to better themselves economically. And I think one of the important things is that China has elevated 500 million people from poverty to the middle class. Now, one alert fellow on the TV news pointed out that middle class in China is not the same as middle class in America. I don't believe that individual realized how important that statement was. If you look at it this way, someone living in a refugee camp in the middle of a low-income country hears middle class. That individual is not thinking of a Center Hall Colonial in Springfield, Illinois, and naming his boys Wally and the Beef. He's thinking middle class in China, because that is doable. How does he know it's doable? It's been done. But we seldom if ever see ourselves, as Bobby Burns, the Scottish poet, said, and I will paraphrase, of all the gifts that God could give us, to see ourselves as others see us would save us a lot of time, trouble, aggravation, and money. But we don't see ourselves the way we are seen in emerging nations. Around the world, we are perceived as extremely rich. And since we've been partnering with other countries and we've been improving our financial circumstances and they have not, they're not happy. So, with the idea that China can elevate 500 million people from poverty to the middle class in China, they could also do it elsewhere. And that is an important paradigm. Well, this little thought is something that you should think about as we move forward, because we're going to have to start making some friends, not only through immigration, but also partnering with other countries around the world, or low-income or emerging nation countries. And this is my paradigm that has been resoundingly ignored. Capital investment plus economic stimulus equals economic development plus growth. Everyone knows you have to spend money to make money, or invest money to make money, and capital investment dollars are not or haven't been there. There have been many loans to financially strapped nations to help them pay debt, but that doesn't help out in the long run. Think about that. If you use that money to, let's say, start a business, you could then pay your bills with the profits you make from your business. And the same thing holds true for a country or a region or a continent. There's something to think about. Nonetheless, this little bundle has been brought to you by the blogger known as Slim Fairview. Thank you for listening, and you all have a real nice day.